Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the VICKI BOUTIN design team, and this week I'm going to work with one of Vicky's free card files. This is the Merry Days card files and I really love those gnomes. And what I'm going to document is a picture of my family waiting for Santa Claus at the parade. We have a neighborhood parade which we go to, and we usually bring the dog and we bundle up and we chill by the side road. So because I saw the gnomes that gave me the idea, I don't know, there's something that clicked in with the picture that I have and the gnomes. So I went and I used the cut file and I cut it out of foundation paper using my silhouette. I make sure that I did a double cut and I set the blade a little bit deeper. So instead of setting it on 3, which is the setting that cuts regular cardstock, I put it on 5, and like I said, I send it on a double cut. Now that I have already, I'm just gonna start working on this idea that I have. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna detail each one of the gnomes, and you're gonna see that this is a very simple layout, but it took quite a bit of time just because I was very careful to back each area of the gnome and to make sure that I detailed it properly. So first thing I did is I'm gonna use all papers from the Wildflower and Honey collection. I found little pieces of paper that had like this peachy kind of orangey tone to back all the noses and the hands of the gnomes. So I'm using it. I did not throw the negative pieces of the gnomes. I'm actually gonna use them to cut the pieces to back the cut file. So you're gonna see that I'm using the little piece of the nose just to find the piece of paper that has that peachy tone. I'm gonna cut around it, leaving a little bit on an offset, and then I'm gonna glue it to the back of the cut file. So I'm just gonna add glue around the area, in this case the nose. I'm gonna add around the outline of the nose, and I'm gonna glue the paper, and I'm gonna do the same with the hands. And like I said, because it's such little pieces of paper, you'll think it goes fast. It doesn't. It just takes some time to detail. Now the next thing I'm gonna do, once I have the noses and hands in place, I'm actually gonna add double-sided tape. You can add washi if you want to, because I want to make sure that the beards of the gnomes remain in place. So like I said, even though my cut is like my die cut in this case is all cut, I'm making sure that I did not take the negative pieces out, because I want to keep the beards of the gnomes in some areas in place before I detail completely. Then you're gonna see that I'm just bringing pieces of pieces of paper from the Wildflower and Honey collection to detail the shoes, and I went with this blackish. It has like a really soft hive design on it, and I'm gonna back all the shoes of the gnomes with that color. And then I'm gonna start working on their clothing, and this took time. It was super fun. I love working on this, but it did take some time. So I'm finding this paper. This is the one that has all the chevron lines. The B-side is kind of fuchsia reddish tone, which I'm going to use to detail one of the robes of the gnome. So what I'm bringing is the circle stamp set, and I think this is from Field Notes or All the Good Things, and the metallic ink set. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp with gold some of the circles. I'm using the circle that has all the polka dots, and then I'm going to heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. That's just gonna make the ink set, and it's gonna give it a little bit of texture and make the impression shinier. So once I have that in place, I'm actually gonna add glue behind the area of the gnome's robe, add the paper, and then I'm gonna fussy cut around the area. You're gonna see that I'm gonna actually also peel the back of the double-sided tape that I used to hold the beard in place, just to make sure that the robe kind of holds the beard in place too. Once I have that in place, I'm going to start working on the hat of the gnome. And again, I'm using papers from the 6x8 for this. I really like this tealish look from it. And once I glue it in place, I'm actually going to fussy cut around it. So you're going to see that I add glue to the outline of the hat on the back side, glue it to the paper, fussy cut it. I saved the negative piece of the hat because there were some circles inside it that I want to bring them. And you're gonna see once I'm gluing in place, I'm gonna actually detail the inside of the circles. For this, I'm gonna mix a little bit of matte acrylic gel with a drop of blue Hawaiian watercolor marker, and I'm gonna add glitter to it. And then I'm gonna use a brush to just kind of add the glitter matte acrylic gel or the glitter paste, whatever you want to call it, to the center of the circles and make it even shinier. I want to give that texture, I want to give that shine look. And when this dries, you're gonna see it in the close-ups at the end, it dries clear. You're gonna see the glitter, the gold glitter floating in like a see-through teal liquid. and I love it because it picks up the color of the hat but gives you that glitter look to it. Love how this turned out. If you can get a hand on matte acrylic gel, it's discontinued, but you want to keep it because it's an amazing medium to work with. So now I have my gnome. I'm gonna continue working on the other gnomes. For the next gnome, which is the tall one, I'm just gonna add the glue behind the robe. I'm gonna attach it to the paper. That's the teal paper that has this kind of script on it, and I'm gonna leave it there just to dry while I work on the next gnome. And like I said, I found pieces of papers that I thought it was gonna work really nice. I really like this orangey kind of reddish tone, very Christmassy. So I'm actually gonna stamp one of the circle stamps again. I'm using the one that looks like a sunburst or a burst, and I'm using silver metallic ink because it's gonna actually shine really nicely. Once I stamped a little piece of paper, again I'm gonna emboss it. This is just clear embossing powder. This is from Michael's actually, and I'm gonna heat emboss it. What the heat embossing is gonna do is gonna, one, keep the ink in place, make it set. Remember, this is a pigment ink, which means it's really juicy. It's gonna take a while to dry, so if you were to touch it, it's gonna smudge. It's gonna give me texture. The heat embossing is gonna give me texture and also make the ink even shinier. So once I have, again, it's cool off the piece of paper, I'm gonna add glue to the back, or to the back of the outline of the robe, add the paper and fussy cut around it. And then you're gonna see that I'm gonna fussy cut. Now that I know my glue has dried, I'm gonna fussy cut around the robe of the tall gnome, and then I'm gonna go back to the little gnome with the red dress just to detail the hat. And what I'm gonna do with the hat, first thing I'm gonna do is add the backing of the hat, and I'm using the B side of the 4x6 cards that has a really nice green paper, and I thought the red green combination very Christmassy. So I'm gonna first glue the hat onto the paper and fussy cut around the detailer with my scissors. And then, like I said, I kept the negative pieces of the cat files just to make sure that, because this hat has a heart in the middle, I keep by keeping the negative piece, I'm able to place the heart in place. What I'm gonna do with the heart is, it comes in two pieces, an outline and the center. I'm gonna get the center part of the heart and kind of rub it on the silver metallic ink, and then heat emboss it with clear powder, and that's gonna make it really shiny. It's gonna give it texture. I'm gonna use the negative part of the cat file just to put the heart in place, and then I'm actually gonna glue the outline of the heart just to make sure that it shines. Once I have that in place, I'm gonna start working on the hat of the other gnome. And this one was actually something that I tried. I had an idea that was gonna look like this, and I love how this turned out. This paper here is from this is a queen bee, the side B of the queen bee paper from the Wildflower and Honey. I'm just rubbing some of the gold metallic ink on it, and I'm gonna add the the embossing powder. This is clear embossing powder, and then I'm gonna heat emboss it. What happens is, with this one, is that the gold ink, because I did not saturate it properly, is gonna add glitter and kind of a white look to it that looks like snow. It looks like little pieces of white glitter on it. I love how this turned out. I had an idea that it might come out like this, and I loved it. Because you see flecks of gold, you see flecks of the blue, you see flecks of white. Just love it, love it. And then I'm gonna actually just add glue behind the hat, and just glue it in place and fussy cut around it, and I have my gnomes in place. Love them. Oh my god, I love them. They were so cute. So once I have that in place, I'm actually, because like I said, it took me a while, so I'm gonna actually use one of the pre-made mixed media backgrounds to create my layout. But I'm just gonna add a little bit extra to this background, and I really love the blue. It makes all the jeans that my family is wearing stand out, and all the gnomes stand out nicely, and also makes the title stand out, and I really love this. So what I'm gonna do is, once I have the idea where everything is gonna set, I'm using a pencil just to mark the corners where everything is gonna go, so that I know where my mixed media is gonna go to. I'm gonna use the art crayons, and I'm gonna use all tones of blue. It's gonna be very monochromatic, and my stencil brush. And this stencil is from the previous collection, Color Kaleidoscope. I really love the look that, I'm gonna say, it looks like little peppermint candies. Made me think of Christmas. So all I'm gonna do is just go pick up some of the pigment, and I'm using all blues, picking a little bit of the pigment with my brush, and then I'm gonna go in a circular motion on top of the stencil just to create the impression. I'm gonna make sure that I add quite a bit of it on the top part of the layout. That's where my title is gonna go. I want to create a nice background because there's a lot of white and the title is gonna stay white. I'm gonna add a little bit extra blue, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of the impression behind where the pictures are gonna sit and the gnomes. Not lots, but like enough that it's gonna create bring a little extra layer behind the pictures and the paper. Once I have that in place, you're gonna see that I'm gonna actually bring everything back onto the paper, set it again in place, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start stamping. And I'm gonna use 2 different tones of my ink for this. I'm gonna start with the medium circle. This is the circle that has all the polka dots, and I'm using gold. And you're gonna see that I'm kind of gonna place my gold circles around a specific areas in the paper, just like where I know the attention is gonna need. I don't want to put them behind the gnomes of the picture. I don't want to hide it. I want this to stand out because it's gonna complete my background. So you're gonna see that I'm actually moving the gnomes a little bit, so just a little bit of the gold peaks. Like I said, I don't want to hide it. I'm gonna add quite a few of them behind the title. And you're gonna see right now that I'm just like lifting my papers a little bit, adding them. I'm making sure that some of the circles fit right in the center of the, I'm gonna say, kind of candy look that I have going. Once I have that in place, you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring my heat gun and just kind of dry it, like literally was like 2 passes. That's about that, not more than that, just to set it a little bit. And then I'm gonna come in with the burst circle that I have in silver ink, and I'm gonna stamp this little burst right on top of the gold one, so that it looks like it's bursting from the gold polka dot circle that I have. And I'm gonna do that with every single one of the gold impressions that I created. I'm gonna add the silver burst or sunburst, whatever you wanna call it. And I'm gonna add just a few in between them, not lots, just a few, just to connect all the areas together. Once I have that in place, I'm actually gonna heat emboss all of it. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna add a little bit, not a bit, quite a bit of a clear embossing powder. Like I said, this is clear, transparent clear. And then I'm just gonna heat emboss it. And what it's gonna do, first of all, it's gonna set the ink, it's gonna add texture, and it's gonna make it super shiny. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna try to lift up the paper. The camera doesn't capture how shiny it is. I'm gonna lift up the paper and kind of move it so you see it. I love how this turned out because you have the little gold coming from behind, you have the silver on top of it. Literally it looked like little sunburst, like little burst. Like think of it as little if you want to create a fireworks, this will be the way to do it. That's the way it looks. So once I have that in place, you're gonna see that I'm back in the picture with just some of the papers, just a little bit more of the blue and teal, very monochromatic look to this. Behind the picture, I'm gonna add some foam adhesive just to make it stand out. And because remember, I had to mark everything with my pencil, I know what everything is gonna sit. So I'm just gonna add my picture, I'm gonna add some foam adhesive. I'm gonna add different levels of foam adhesive, no levels but widths or heights, whatever you want to call them, different. So I'm gonna, the tall gnome is gonna be glued straight onto my layout. The gnome that has all the polka dots in the hand, I'm gonna add a little bit of actually glue dots behind it because the glue dots were a little bit thicker than my foam adhesive, so they're gonna raise a little bit higher than my picture. And then the same for the other gnome. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive, the same one that I add behind the picture, behind my title. So that took me some time because I just had to cut little pieces of my foam adhesive just to kind of back all the word Mary and days, so that there's no, doesn't dip in places. You're gonna see that I'm gonna take my time and I'm just gonna cut little thin strips out of my foam adhesive and just put it in place. And then I'm gonna add it, like I said, because I had set everything ahead of time. I knew where everything was gonna go. That's where the little dots of the pencil are marking where everything is gonna go. And once I have that in place, I'm actually gonna keep it very simple when it comes to embellishing. I think the gnomes are doing quite a bit of work. My background, I love how this background turned out, actually loved it. And then you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring some chipboard. This is all from Wildflower and Honey. I'm gonna bring some of the gold stars just to add the more of the shine look. I added the little phrase stickers from the sticker book at the bottom of the gnome with the heart that says celebrate us. And after that, I think that's about it. This is pretty much where the camera cut. I added my Lancer journal to the left of the gnome with the heart in the hat, and that's about it. I love how this turned out. Honestly, the background, I just had this idea of the stamping, and I love how this turned out. I love the clothing of the gnomes. I love the design. Such an amazing card file. I'm gonna add the link to the Vicky Boutin community page here, so you can get your download there. As always, if you have any questions on how these came together, please do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to help you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as always, come join the group. There's so much fun there, and don't forget to check out Vicky's products. They are amazing to work with, and you can do a lot with them. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, guys.